Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you today evening. As always, I always look forward to having you. My name is Jonan Kandwanaho, and I'm the team leader at Jonaki Holdings Limited. And at Jonaki Holdings Limited, we offer financial relief. We offer credit. So you have a challenge with bridge financing, we get to support you as Jonaki Holdings Limited. If you're stuck, you have a consignment at the border post and you want to clear it in a very short time and you're hard on cash, we get to support you. You can always check us out at www.jonakiholdings.com and then we shall be available to serve you. So I get to come here to share with you what the Lord has put on my heart. And you can always look us up on these videos that I've been sharing, majorly targeting money lending for quite a while. So I'm available on YouTube at Jonan Kandwanaho, and you can get to learn one or two things. But as I emphasize, as you learn, it's important that you actually get to implement. Because if you don't, then you'll have wasted your time and your data to work through, but also you'll have wasted my time and data that I commit to come and speak to you about. So go learn one or two or three things, and then I'll be happy. So today we have quite an interesting topic, and this has been birthed from the questions I've been receiving from a number of potential business leaders that would like to start money lending business, or the ones who have actually almost started, or they started and they exited because of a few challenges of business. So some of these topics I actually get them from some of the business leaders or people who are doing the money lending, and they have them as their pain points. So I get to come here and address them and share my mind or my insights and experience on the same. So today we have a topic that was birthed from the number of calls that I've been receiving from different money lenders asking, and potential money lenders that intend to start a similar business. And they have been very inquisitive. How much can we start with? So, how much can we start with and why? So one key thing I need you to note, that before you start out to lend is, before you think of the amount even, it's important to know that you need to know at what point you address it. What informs your need to start lending? Is it because you want to satisfy your daily bread, eat, drink, and have fuel in the car? Is it because you just want to have money in your wallet? Is it because you just want to join the bandwagon of knowing that you're doing business? What is it? What's your vision? What is it? Why are you starting that thing? You need to be honest to yourself to know what it is that is informing the business that you're starting. And if it is to meet your daily bread or your daily needs, before long, you're going to surpass that and you'll be stuck. Why? Because you'll meet your needs in a very short time, but what happens thereafter? Will you close shop, or will you keep at that level? So you need to have a long-term vision of what it is that you actually want to start. Because unless you have that, even a few hiccups, a few challenges, because this business is very challenging. So a few hiccups and challenges, you can easily run away. But if you know that you're in this thing for a long haul, then it grounds you to know that, I am sleeved up and I'm ready to face what it is that I need to face, and I will make it through. Because if you get to watch some of the videos that I've already shared, it's hard out there, and we've had a portion of the fire of getting burnt, and we've thrived through. When you're finding gold, it goes through the temperatures of degrees of 1,000 or 10,000, but still comes out as clean and glittering gold because it's refined. So if you don't have a strong vision for what it is that you're starting that money lending business for, you'll get frustrated, and before long you actually close shop and go. And many guys have closed shop. So to start with, before you think of the amount to start with, it's important that you know why you're starting that very thing. Why are you starting it in the first place? Is it because you have some few bucks of money on your account that you're excited that you need to start? Is it because you have a long-term vision of what it is that you want to do, to have branches in different countries and all that? Is it because you just need your daily bread? So you need to answer that question honestly. And then if you've been having a short-term goal or a short-term vision, you need to scale it up, because it's only that will keep you in business, that will push you to keep in business. If you don't have that long-term plan, long-term vision for what it is that you're starting that business, before long, you actually close shop. So as you start in business, the amount of money to look at is not fixed. I may have started with 500,000, I may have started with 100 million, I may have started with 50 million, but either way, the key thing is to start. So key basics you have to tick before you actually think of the amount that you intend to start with. You have to make sure that the process that you get from the amount that you start with can ably cover your key operational expenses and able to run your capex. Now, a money lender who is operating in Kampala might need to start with significantly higher amount of money than someone who is actually operating the upcountry. Why? Because here, the standard of living might be high. Here, rent, because you need to have an office. Even to have a license, you actually have to have an office. So meaning that you have to be renting somewhere, and you have to have a decent office. You have to have a safe. You have to have a few things. So a few things that you have to look at, and the costs have to be met by the profits, the interest that you're actually making. For example, if I start with 1 million shillings and I'm lending at 15%, that's 1.5 million per month. So I have to make sure that the 1.5 million can actually cater for me as a person, as the owner of the business, but as well as meet the operational expenses of the business. Because before you know it, because you're operating in money, you're trading in money, before you know it, you're going to close shop. Why? Because if this money cannot sustain you and run the business, then the business cannot thrive. So you have to make sure that the operational expenses, including your salary that you actually need to pay yourself, is catered for. So that highly determines how much that you should look at to start a money lending business. It has the process that you make from the business should be able to meet your operational costs as well as keep you in business. If I have 10 million that I'm starting with and I'm lending at 15%, I'm literally making 1.5 million. So 1.5 million, I should be able to have rent on that, pay myself a salary, at least to get me along, and then be able to continue operating. If I don't do that, before long, I'll actually start eating on the money that I started with. And before I know it, I'll start using the very capital to actually start paying rent. And before I know it, I'll not be in business. Why? Because I'm eating on the principle. And in one of my talks, I emphasize, do not, even when you're lending out, make sure that your principal is secured. Do not lose your principal. Be it hook or crook, don't lose your principal. That's the biggest point you have to have at heart. And that's why I don't advise non-secured lending. Why? Because if it's not secured, there's a likelihood that you're going to lose that money. There's a likelihood that you're going to lose that principal. And once principal is lost, you're out of business before long. So in guarding the principal, guard it not only against the clients, but also against yourself. Because you yourself can actually cause yourself to close shop, can actually cause yourself to lose business, can actually cause yourself to lose principal. Why? Because you're eating it by yourself, and could be informed by the high expenses that you're incurring, could be operational expenses or any other expenses that cannot be met by the interest or the profits that you're making from the business. I always advise, it's a two-pronged approach. You may choose to start with moderate money, maybe 10 million or 5 million or 20 million, but because it's little, you tend to increase them to lend at a higher rate. The challenge with that is that a few clients will come through to borrow money from you at a higher rate when there's a junior kid that can actually lend to them at a lower rate. So you have to do it in moderation. And as I've already said, this is a business of trust. Someone has to buy into you first before they buy into your business. So it's a matter of trust. So you actually serve a few of your colleagues or a few of your clients that have much trust in you, and that's how you can actually grow if your rate is high. But the other negative thing is that if I start with little money and the profits from the same cannot cater for my operation expenses, then I have to increase the interest rate. maybe to 20%, which might be cumbersome for the client. Because ask yourself, if I gave you 10 million at 20%, where do you expect to get that money? That return on investment per month is very high. Unless someone is a fraudster, is going to come and pretend that is going to close that deal and pay you back. Before you know it, you're in the courts of the law. So to save yourself that challenge, make sure that you reduce on your costs, your operational costs, pay yourself a salary, and make sure that the interest rate at which you're lending at is manageable. I'd rather you start with a small office. I'd rather you start with maybe yourself, without not as many staff, so that your expenses are as minimal as possible, and then to help you a lot. Because you see, if your rate is slightly small, you'll be able to operate, and you'll be able to operate within the proceeds or the profits that you're making from the business. So why you should look at it in that angle? I'd rather you look at it in the angle of lower interest rate and less operational expenses than high interest rate, because you do have less principal and you want to make a little more money so that you can make ends meet. So for those who have been asking me a lot about, how much can I start with, the key thing is it is dependent on your operational costs. If you're going to start that business, you're going to pay yourself 10 million from the start or 2 million from the start, it might not take off. And taking off aside, you actually might lose the actual principle that you're starting with. And then point number 2, you check out my YouTube on partnerships. It is partnership that you actually start with a colleague and you put money together. I'd rather we put money together and it makes some bit of proceeds that we can benefit both of us, because we can both contribute to rent, we can both contribute to operational costs. But as I said in my video on partnership, you have to have common values, or else you start the business in 1 year, before long you'll part ways, and you'll part badly. Because I've had and I've read about a number of partnerships that have ceased to exist and they have affected the company that has actually taken off. I know things don't get sour until you start making money. It's until businesses start coming through, it's until you start growing, it's until you start progressing, that things start getting hot, that you start competing for profits. If it was not clarified properly at the start, it becomes a very big challenge. So it is important that all these nitty-gritties, if you want to put money together because you have little capital that might not sufficiently address the operational expenses, including your salaries, then if it's a partnership and you're all bringing capex on board, the money is to start to run the business. It's important that you have shared values, but also it's important that you put it to paper. You write it down and know what it is that you're going to benefit from this business. I know what it is that you're going to contribute. Because my contribution could even be my working there, my energy, my time, or my contribution could be a chunk of money. All those details, you can actually agree on them. But if you're starting as a solo, it's important that you make sure that irrespective of the amount that you're starting with, they can enable meet your operational expenses. So even if it's 5 million and you're lending at 10% and you're making only 500,000, and you're very comfortable that, on the 500,000, I can afford to have an office and pay myself a salary, at least for transport and a bit of accommodation. If you don't commute from your home or somewhere, then it's important that you start. You do not postpone, because there will not be a time when you'll be very comfortable, when everything will be set, when all cards will play well for you to actually start. So the key thing I advise the few guys that I mentor is that start. The rest of the things, you'll figure them out along the way. Look out for material, associate with guys who are doing a similar business. There are lots of experiences and the stories they can actually share with you. And of course, support you as you move that journey. But the key thing is that to answer that question, how much you should start with any amount, so long as the operational costs are enough to sustain the business. If not, you're going to start feeding on the principal, and before long, you're going to close shop. Point number 2, if the money that you have is not enough to meet the operational expenses, it is important that you think or you explore the different opportunities that are available. It could be partnership. You need to identify someone whom you have shared values, whom you think you can actually get to agree on a few things. Put them down, write them down for your good. Even if you're close friends like her, even if you're relative, put it down or even engage a lawyer to actually draft a partnership deed for you, so that you can actually know the principles, the guidelines on which you're operating. Because before you know it, you're going to grow, and it's going to check you. It's going to be a check and balance between you and the person that you're partnering with. Now, point number 3 is that if you're set that, you know what, my professional experience can be met, start now. I am privy to the information that, you know what, you could start applying for your license. If you haven't started, you apply for your license, set up your office properly, and then you can actually say, you know what, come and buy at the start of 2023. I am going to set up and start running. But do not run your business informally. I have been there. I was there for 2-3 years. It wasn't a good time. I lost a few monies because of that informality. So I'd think that don't try to dodge the costs because you're saving on operations and all that. Approach the business properly, formally, register formally, and that's when you're going to experience real growth. If you're doing a business for 1 month or 2 months, fine. But if you're in it for a long haul and you think it's what it is that you want to do, give it time, give it your best, and start now. So long as the profits that you make from it can cover operational costs. And also, too, start with a few trusted friends that you can actually lend to. But make sure that even though they are friends, you need to give them secured money. I understand the notion that, you know what, if you want to lose your friends very fast, lend to them. But if they are really genuine friends and they can secure their money, why not? Because look, if I am your friend and I have a consignment at the border post and I am stuck and you cannot help me because I am a friend, then I'm not your friend. Because some friends can actually secure the money that you give them. So why wouldn't you lend to them? Because they can qualify, they can secure their money. So start with the guys that are your close friends, or they are friends, and they genuinely have a need, and they are able to assess properly their capacity to pay. Don't just look at the collaterals that they are putting forward, that they are committing to, because before you know it, you lose that friendship. Look at their capacity, their ability to pay, by looking at their finances. I also shot a video on how you can assess them, so you can look it up, watch through or listening, and learn 1 or 2 things, so that you can know that even if it's your friend, you can assess them properly and give them money that is commensurate to their financial capacity to pay back. And then it's only then that you can actually not lose the friendship. But if you don't, and you look at the collateral, because they have land on Kampala Road, and just give them 500 million at one go, you're going to lose that friendship because they don't have the cash flows or the capacity to pay back. And when you're giving them, you're looking at the collateral. Wrong. And that's why that notion came from, that you want to lose your friendship very fast, lend them money. But if you've assessed someone properly, and they generally have a challenge they want to address, or a business deal they want to close, genuinely give them money, assist them properly like how you're assisting other clients, and you'll keep the friendship, because definitely they'll pay, because you'll have assessed them and you'll have the capacity. If something arises, still you'll see that something has arose, and you can look for a way on how you can actually address it. So I thought I could share with you, since that question had come several times. So it doesn't matter how much that you start with. Could be 10 million, could be 5. But of course, the higher amount of money you start with, the better. But also it has a negative implication, because if you start with maybe 500 million or 300 million, your learning costs will be very heavy. Because you start learning loans of 50 million and yet you're starting. So if there's a likelihood of a few things you have to learn, or learn on a fraudster, because you've not closed a few gaps here and there, you lose a chunk of money. So I'd rather you start with moderate money, 10 million, 15, 20, maybe 50 million, and then start from there. And then start to appreciate the business, learn gradually, and then you can scale up the capital along the way as you're learning, because learning is continuous. Especially in this business, you need to learn. You need to get in the circle of colleagues who are doing similar business. You need to get a mentor who can walk you through, who can walk with you the journey, who can support you. Because if there are gaps, the fraudster will learn on that gap to fleece you over 100 million or 500 million. Before you know it, you might close shop in a short time. So there is a disadvantage of having a lot of money that you're starting with. I also appreciate that it is plausible that you start with the little that you can start with, and then appreciate the process and learn along the way, and then grow your capex as you progress in your journey to growth. So start gradually, start with little money, but the key thing is starting. So long as the profits that you're making from there, the profits, can actually ably meet the operational costs and including your salaries in your business, because you're not a martyr. And you didn't just start that business because it's a hobby. It needs to give you money, it needs to give you some profits, pay you some salary, then you can afford to put fuel in your car, support your family, support your children, and maybe do rightful causes in society. So it should give you some good money that can sustain you, as well as run the business itself, so that you don't grow long hands to touch the coffers of the business, and before you know it, you're eating the principal and you're closing shop. So I'll be happy to meet you in business and appreciate that you're operating properly. I'll be glad that we shall meet at the top. And I always say it, if you persist and do it well, and you structure things that formalize, definitely we shall meet at the top. So I love you all, guys. Thanks for watching through. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your Friday. You can always check out my YouTube channel, Jonathan Kandwandaho, and subscribe. It's free of charge. Also like, comment if you have anything, if you have a pain point that you want me to comment on or address in one of the talks, put it forward and I'll ably address it. You can check us out as well, www.jonakiholdings.com, and keep in touch. I love you guys, and I speak God's blessings over you. God bless the works of your hands. God prosper you. God transform you. God uplift you. And God give you the courage to start. Because it says in 2 Timothy, I think 1:7, that the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. So fear is not of the Lord. Start that thing. If you know it can set off, if you know it can sustain itself, you know if it can run, when you've computed your profits well, start that thing and see how it runs. And we shall be available to support and guide here and there. I love you guys. Enjoy the rest of the Friday and enjoy the rest of the weekend. God richly bless you and cover you and protect you and guide you and your families and your business. Go do good to your communities. Go do good to our country, Uganda. Go create employment. Go have branches. Go prosper. Go progress. I love you all, and may the good Lord richly bless you. Bye-bye for now. See you next week, Friday from 5:30. Don't change the channel. Same station.